We'll leave that just about there. Then a very warm welcome back to independent unofficial off-tube studio commentary of the Champions League quarter-final second leg between Manchester City, or should I say Atletico Madrid and Manchester City. 0-0 at the break on the night. Still Kevin De Bruyne's goal separating the sides from last week's game at the Etihad. It was pretty much what myself and Paul expected. City had a lot of the ball, maybe not as many chances as we thought. Atleti sat very, very deep, but they did have the moments on the break.
They did. I think that Simeone would certainly have been encouraging his players to try and, well, they have to try and do a little bit more to get the ball forward and to actually get the goal. But from Atletico's point of view, the way that Simeone sets his sides up, even if it's 75 minutes gone and it's still 0-0 in this game, I don't think Atletico will panic. They'll just try and step it up that little bit more. But there's always that danger that City can score themselves, and then really Atletico are going to be up against it, and they're going to have to try and be a little bit more expansive.
Doesn't look like there's been any changes at the break. I'll give you the size in a second, but Griezmann's coming forward here. Got the shot away as well. Laporte did enough. Corner kick to Atleti. They line up Oblak in goal. Savic, Felipe was on a yellow card. Ronaldo across the back. Lodi, Lamar, Kondogbia, Koke and Llorente, with Griezmann and Felix up front. 4-3-3 for City. Ederson, Walker, Stones, Laporte, Cancelo, De Bruyne, Rodri, Gundogan, Mahrez, Foden and Bernardo. This is a real opportunity. First corner kick of the game as far as Atleti are concerned. It's going to be Lamar to play it in. It's a decent ball as well. It's away by Laporte on his 6-yard line. Well, Felipe might be about to rise and do something with that. Ronaldo, João Felix offside. It's well dealt with nonetheless by Rodri, who plays it away to Mahrez, who looked like he was just about to go past Ronaldo then. His forward ball is well dealt with by Savic back there. Atleti can come forward again. Lamar still on the right hand side following that corner kick. Cuts inside on his left foot. This is a chance if he gets the shot away. He does, but Rodri blocks it. And almost a totally different mindset so far from Atletico.
Yeah, we've had 2.5 minutes in the second half, and already Atletico trying to start to dominate possession. They've already tried to get a ball into the box. They've won a corner, so they are stepping things up. Maybe the idea is to try and get into City early in the second half and then try and control the game from there.
Yeah, that wasn't a great ball by Savic. One bounce and out, as we see. Carrasco is one of those warming up. Correa down there too. Of course, 5 substitutions, isn't it, in the Champions League? So coaches can take a chance, be maybe a bit more ambitious. If they do need to go for it, then change it back. And we'll see which one blinks first between Simeone and Guardiola. But at the moment, Atletico are playing like a different team. Lamar on the left-hand side. Great challenge by Kyle Walker. Read the play really well and slid him. Ronaldo has it now and he'll roll it into Felipe, the sole recipient of a yellow card on the evening. Atleti do have a number of players who would miss the first leg of semi-final if they were to pick up another caution. Kondogbia, Felix, Llorente and Ronaldo all setting into that particular section. Kevin De Bruyne and João Cancelo are the 2 men also in that boat for City. Lodi turns in nicely in. Ooh, Felix, I thought it was offside, but he just drifted in between Laporte and Stones. It was well cut out though by Stones, who's had another really decent evening. In fact, Ruben Diaz is back on the bench for his hamstring injury, but Stones and Laporte are the 2 at the heart of the defence for City at the moment, as Stones strokes it into Laporte. Bernardo's dropping deep. He's had a quiet game actually.
He has, yeah, although playing in a slightly more attacking role. He's been sort of in that midfield 3 for Guardiola in Premier League games. He's asked to go back to his more sort of his original position, which is more as a wide winger, and I haven't seen too much of him in the game really. But that said, we have seen a lot of Gundogan, De Bruyne and Rodrigo, but not too much in these early stages of the second half. Just as we say that, though, City are trying to win it back in midfield here with Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, Bernardo didn't quite keep his feet, but managed to keep the ball and find Laporte. Cancelo just inside Atleti's half. A change strip of navy blue, incidentally, for City this evening. Red and white stripes, blue shorts and red socks for Atletico. City going right to left on our TV pictures in the second half. It is goalless at the current moment on the evening. 1-0 to City on aggregate, and Rodri just rolls his foot over the ball and then Tries to thread it through. It was well read by Griezmann, and now Kondogbia. Well, to be fair, Bernardo apologises to him. I was going to say lost his footing rather than anything else.
There's a little bit of contact there, but I think it was one of those where the referee was giving that as soon as he saw there was any kind of coming together there. He assumed that Kondogbia was being brought down and gave the free kick. But certainly can't say that this second half has started the way that the first did. Atletico are trying to step it up there.
Yeah, trying to step it up. Savic just rolls into Koke, who was another really quiet first half. You mentioned it, Paul, not really having the impact we've seen in previous spells for the Spain international. It was not a great ball by Savic towards Koke. He couldn't win it. Savic now dances out of the defence. Llorente seems to have pushed one further on, and now Lamar. It's a bit of all-court play by Atletico. A number of players pushing forward. One of them being Lodi, whips a low, poor ball really. He needs to whip it in there and it goes straight to the goal.
It was almost a shot, wasn't it? I mean, there was no curl on it at all to get it to a teammate. De Bruyne now brings the ball out for City. Just a little bit unlucky there with the challenge. Koke furious at the referee that he's not giving him a throw. He's got to calm down here, Koke. Even using my very basic Spanish and lip reading, I can tell that he's saying a few things there to the referee that he probably shouldn't be saying.
Yeah, it was, especially as it was clearly his clearance. There wasn't.
Of course it was. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just one of those. I sometimes think players do that to try and get a reaction from the crowd, to try and get the crowd riled up, to hope that then every time there's any kind of decision they're going to be trying to get at the referee. I think that there must be part of that, because there didn't seem to be any reason. It would have been a throw-on for City and around about the halfway line as well. So it's not like it's a major decision. But City now just holding on to the ball on the halfway line, but as in the first half, no easy route to the penalty area.
Absolutely not. Still 1-1 in the other game between Liverpool and Benfica. Liverpool 4-2 up on aggregates. As things stand, they'll be playing Villarreal in the semi-finals. Real Madrid await the winners of this game. Atletico usually play Real in the final, don't they? So we'll see how that goes. As Gundogan, was he fouled? No, he wasn't.
Well, I would say that he was, but the foul hasn't been given. I think he might have been a little bit tripped up there, Ilkay Gundogan. But as you mentioned in the first half, the referee quite happy to let a few little things go in this game.
Yeah, 37 years old, Daniel Siebert, a part-time teacher from Berlin. He's had a really good game, I think, as Reinildo tries to clear his lines. Then Felipe tries to do the same, but only clears the ball off of his teammate. Ooh, he got away with one there, did the Brazilian defender.
He did,
he tried to thread it past Mahrez, and Mahrez intercepted him, and the ball looked like it was just going to fizz into his path to run onto. And actually, just going to point something out. Is Koke the right back now? Just the way he's playing.
He certainly started out, and it looks like Alonso might have been asked to. It looks as though Marcos Llorente, I should say, has been asked to play a little bit further forward. So it may well be they've gone to a 4-3-3 now. Potentially,
yeah. Searching ball by Lodi. Just trundles out for a goal kick. It was João Felix who's had to do a lot of running on his own so far. Almost there, but again, nearly but not quite.
Well, the understanding with the Atletico players is so good, because he doesn't do much squad rotation, does he? Simeone likes to keep his team fairly settled, and some of these players have been here for years, so that even if Koke does suddenly go up to be an emergency striker or an emergency winger, there'll be someone filling in for him in midfield. As we can see, Griezmann's actually further back than Koke is, as City try and play out from the back.
Yeah, he is actually now. Yeah, he's certainly playing a bit further forward now, isn't he? The Atleti captain, Rodri, plays a semi-risky ball across the front of his goal, and did well, did Kyle Walker. I thought I recognised the assistant boss for Atletico Madrid, Nelson Vivas, the former Arsenal.
I can't believe you're old enough to remember Vivas playing for Arsenal, do you?
Go on, mate. Thanks, old Paul. Flattery will get you a long way. No, I remember him playing more for Argentina at the World Cup in '98.
Absolutely, yes, and he did have a spell in North London as well. Couldn't really bet into that Arsenal team just as they were sort of being developed under Wenger there, but certainly he was part of that set up in the last few years of the Highbury Stadium. But doing a great job here with Simeone as his assistant. His two assistants here, of course, both fellow Argentinians.
Yeah, well, I was going to say about Vivas, he was almost a player before his time in the Premier League, if you know what I mean. He was a sweeper, wasn't he? And he could play right back, left back, and just couldn't get into that team. That's a great ball. Felix can't get the header. Again, he's finding the positions, but the delivery's not quite there.
No, it's not. And the ball was, just arriving a little bit too quickly there on João Felix's head to be able to control it. It's good from Lorente that even able to keep it in play. But yeah, Felix just gets it all wrong in terms of how he's jumping for that header. As looks like Liverpool might be putting the tie to bed at Anfield. They're now 2-1 up on the night against Benfica. Roberto Firmino with the goal. So now it's a 5-2 lead on aggregate.
Yes, it may have been a bad jump as much as anything from Felix, but Atletico, they're coming again. It's Lodi down the left-hand side, plays it off the shins of Kyle Walker. It will be a throw to the host, and Koke again tries to get the crowd going. Another foul throw. One day I'll become immune to it, I think, but I don't know. Savic, great switch of play. He finds Ronaldo, and Lodi into the box, cuts it back. Well played, Gundogan, with an intercept challenge, but Lodi and Ronaldo left the ball to each other. Then it'll be another throw. Pep Guardiola's on his haunches on the edge of the technical area. He knows this is a key part of the game. Atletico come out a different side in this second half, and City are struggling to get a foothold. Kondogbia switches the play. He's got Lorente to the right. It's not a great ball, but Cancelo didn't have many options, just tried to head it clear. Felix to Griezmann, decent effort. Oh, just wide. It was an awkward one on his left foot. He moved his feet so well. It was almost at hip height. A scissor kick. Is that what we describe it as, Paul? Great effort, just wide. It's
superb from Antoine Griezmann, and this is a warning to City that Atletico are growing into this game as the ball is played into Griezmann by João Felix. Yeah, it's almost like he's sort of pinging it with the outside of the boot and sort of getting an extra little bit of slice on there. It would have been a glorious goal had that got in, but it just flashed wide of Edison's goal in the end.
Imagine the atmosphere at the Metropolitano is electric now, with Atleti coming in to the game. All the subs who've sent out to warm up are attacking ones as well, so Diego Simeone will also be thinking about making a number of changes, and positive ones at that, as Lorente just throws it into the ground, and even the City players were complaining there. Savic clears it off of Foden.
Gundogan just did a live replay to him. Of course, Gundogan could tell Daniel Siebert not just in English, but he could also tell him in German just what he felt about that decision. It's happened 2 or 3 times now where Atletico players have taken throws. I think it's Marcos Llorente that seems to be the main guilty party with that.
Yeah, I thought Savic would have taken that throw, but Llorente got it right. I thought it was just to take the heat off Llorente after that recent one, but they got it right there. Atletico was... They go long, and Stones nods it down to Rodri, who's caught in possession. Griezmann comes across, and then Lamar flicks it over his shoulder with his shin as much as anything. Kondogbia nods it back to Felipe. Advantage being played for a potential foul on Kondogbia. Savic brings it forward, sees the potential run of Felix, but the ball is too strong. And then Felix had a bit of a go. In fact, was it Griezmann had a bit of a go at John Stones, who turns round and thinks about it, but thinks better of it. Lets the Frenchman retreat to his position. It's definitely a 4-4-2 without the ball now for Atletico.
It certainly is, yeah. You've got João Felix and Koke playing up front with a line of 4, including Griezmann, Kondogbia, Lamar and Lodi in midfield. It's a slightly unusual formation. I wouldn't have expected that from Simeone, but then I'm not expecting that to be the case for the whole of the second half. I think he may even chop and change that as the second half develops.
I think you're right, as Savic comes forward. Lorente chests nicely, just about gets inside Foden, but Foden does well. He's gone for the longer sleeves, and he's changed his bandage at half-time as well. He got a head knock in the first half. Foden seems to be okay. Oh, great skill by Lodi. Tricks his way past Mahrez. Then his ball forward is deflected. Walker will put his foot on the ball and fire it against João Felix, and immediately Koke beckons his teammates to try and pen Man City in. It's a throw-in around about 12 yards from their own goal line.
You can see those Atletico fans just to the side of the pitch there, immediately beckoning Walker to hurry up, because they want every second they can to try and get back into this tie. Yes,
they do. Walker, decent throw towards De Bruyne, but Atletico coming up with it. Gundogan and knees it on. De Bruyne struggled to get into the game as well. He's scored in his last 4 games, which is pretty impressive for City. Starting with the FA Cup win at Southampton, as Kondogbia into Griezmann, off to Koke. He tries to play it over the top. He just skipped up in front of him, came off the ankle, I think.
I think it did, yeah. I don't think he intended to play that pass. I think Lodi initially was compelling and then sort of put his hand up against, yeah, fair enough. That wasn't the intended ball. It just went a little bit askew. But it's been a while now since City have tried any kind of attack.
Yeah, an hour has ticked by as well. Still goalless on the night, 1-0 to City on aggregate as Bernardo goes deep to get it. Back now to Stones and Laporte, and all the way back to goalkeeper Edison, who's made one save from the deflected Kondogbia effort, but other than that, it's been quite quiet. Had to been, but seeing a lot of the ball at his feet, especially in the second half, as Koke slides in, wins the ball. Lamar picks up the seconds. He's got Ronaldo just in behind him. Now Felipe. Koke again takes a sensible option and goes to Felipe, who just so smooth in his technique. You always thought it was going to be a good pass, but it was well over Llorente in the end. And we saw Diego Simeone. I don't think you look at the turf in front of his technical area, it's pretty worn away.
Oh, it is, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty much just soil left out now, isn't it? Where Simeone paces up and down all the time. You'll be pleased with the way his side have started in this second half, but still the game remains goalless. City lead the tie 1-0 on aggregate, and now finally a bit of a breakout here for City, but Bernardo Silva has stopped in his tracks.
Great recovery challenge by Lodi, isn't it? Who got back there. Of course, Atletico looking for a Manchester double, having beaten United in the round of 16, winning at Old Trafford, as Laporte steps up, thinks about going forward, goes sideways to John Stones, who's down to walking pace just inside his own half. There's not much of a press from Athletic. Koke was trying to lead it there. Now Cancelo, Stones over the halfway line. Touch wasn't the best and took him into the Athletic half, but he was under no undue pressure. Stones trying to urge his teammates on. Now Laporte, he steps forward, slides it into Gundogan. Gundogan's under a bit of pressure, and Kondogbia's too good for him in the end. Griezmann will now bring it away. Rodri thought about fouling him, but his play on Llorente down the right hand side gives him the option. Cancelo, has he got time? There's an advantage being played, is there not? No, there wasn't. Griezmann went down in back play, but a goal kick.
Griezmann was claiming that this was an obvious free kick against him. I don't think so. I think he plays the ball past Laporte and he hit the deck, and there was never any chance of him getting onto that second ball, even if Laporte wasn't there. Yeah,
it was spinning down towards the ground before the challenge came in from the Spain international, Laporte. And Rodri, that wasn't a ball he wanted, I don't think, from Laporte. Laporte saying he should have offered, but I think he was doing his best not to offer there, Rodri, because he had so many bodies in the box. He was trying to force his teammates, in the centre of the pitch, trying to force his teammate to go wide. Cancelo into Foden, who's certainly playing wider on this occasion in the second half. Oh, Kevin De Bruyne has just pulled up off the ball. He made half a dart, and his leg recoiled like you would if you've got a muscle injury. We'll have to monitor that, but he ain't moving well, Paul, is he? You see him there just limping around. I think he's telling everyone he's going to be fine, but still, it just that involuntary movement that puts us all on red alert.
Yes, it does. You just got to keep an eye on how he will hope it's one of those that he can just run off. But as I say, there are 5 substitutions available for each manager should there be a need to make a change. Although I think both managers will be happy with that. That's really Bernardo Silva's won the ball back for City. That was never a foul. It's given for when he wins the ball off Kondogbia. I didn't think he fouled him at all.
No, I thought he kicked the ball against his feet. Is that Raheem Sterling?
I think it is, yeah. Raheem Sterling is getting ready to come on for Man City. Is this potentially going to be for Foden, maybe?
I think so. Foden's been quiet in this second half, hasn't he? Laporte comes across, chests it down, but only onto Llorente. Griezmann, switch of play. Walker, good play by Kyle Walker. Coming back, chesting it back to goalkeeper Edison. Looks like Liverpool might be in for a third goal. We'll bring you up to date with that if it happens. De Bruyne, not convincing me the way he's moving. Really got his form back after all his injury and illness problems, but he just seems to have maybe done something there. The referee pauses the game because we are going to have that first change. Sterling is the man. He's ready to come on. And it is Kevin De Bruyne I think I saw the 17, and yes, De Bruyne makes his way across, and he looks pretty despondent, which he hasn't gone down the tunnel, which is a good sign, but I imagine there might be an ice pack waiting for him.
Yeah, I would say so. This will mean that Bernardo goes back into his more familiar, certainly from this season, more familiar midfield role, and Sterling goes into the attacking three.
Yeah, he looks like he's gone straight up top, doesn't he? Raheem Sterling, still goalless on the night, 1-0 to City on aggregate. Yes, 3-1 now, Liverpool lead, so that scoreline matches from the first leg in Lisbon. 3-1 up on the night against Benfica, 6-2.
Yeah, Roberto Firmino with his second goal of the night, and Kostas Tsimikas with his second assist of the night.
I suppose you've got to credit how far Liverpool have come with now the strength of depth that they've got. I know Klopp didn't quite think Tsimikas was up to it last season, but he's really come on this season, as in when Firmino is having a rare start and still scoring in the Champions League. It just shows how good the players.
Well, I mean, the fact is that we're 6 weeks away from the end of the season, and Liverpool are still hunting for the quadruple, aren't they? They won the Carabao Cup. They're still in the FA Cup, fighting for the Premier League, and still fighting very much getting through to the semi-final out of the Champions League. So, and facing perhaps the less fancied Villarreal over the expected Bayern Munich. So things are looking up for Klopp's side, absolutely.
Oh, certainly the shock of last night, wasn't it? Villarreal getting the better of Bayern. As again, it's forward, but Mahrez can't control this time. Koke, Griezmann, 30 yards out, switches the play towards Lodi, who looks to nod it in towards a teammate, and then Lodi did it. I thought Walker went through on Lodi, but it looks like Lodi went through on Walker by Walker's reaction to that. He's rolling on the ground. I don't think he's asking for a foul. Lodi's pretty much nonplussed by it all. Walker clears his lines, and
well, that's one of those where it's very subjective. Some people would say that it's Walker that's followed through and caught Lodi. Others would say that Walker's controlling the ball and clearing it, and then Lodi crashes into him. I think it's one of those where they may just leave it, and you're absolutely right. So Kevin De Bruyne has got an ice pack on that right shin, and in the meantime Walker's been checked over here, and he looks like he's in a little bit of bother.
He does, doesn't he? They're rubbing his chest, aren't they? The City players. Correa is stripped and ready to go, as is Rodrigo de Paul, and Carrasco too. Correa, Carrasco, certainly that is a sign that Atletico are going to try and open this game up with those two, because they've got really good pace, and I'm just trying to see how he falls. Because he falls his left arm, maybe?
I'm thinking maybe it's that right knee as he's clearing the ball. It might just have been sort of a little bit extended as he crashed into Lodi there, or Lodi crashed into him, and they're just checking Kyle Walker over now, but he hasn't got up. And we can see how frustrated Pep Guardiola is with this. As indeed Simeone, but for very different reasons. Guardiola's concerned about his starting right back, and Simeone's concerned about the time that's being lost.
Yes, yeah, I think so. I can't think you can attach any blame to Lodi for that incident, but Walker does seem to be in a bit of bother here. Looking at the defensive substitutes available, of course Ruben Diaz is back, but after a spell with that hamstring injury, you'd be a bit worried about bringing it back. They could maybe shift John Stones right back, Nathan Ake comes on in the middle, or Nathan Ake left back, Cancelo right back.
Zinchenko comes on for Walker, then get Cancelo over on the right hand side is another option, but I know he prefers to keep Cancelo in that left side now wherever he can. For the time being, Walker has got up, I think, but he's still not moving around particularly freely there, and in the meantime we're going to see this triple change.
Yes, triple change. Correa, De Paul and Carrasco ready to come on. Look at the numbers.
So it's going to be a Correa to come on for... No, in fact, it's going to be Carrasco coming on for Griezmann. That's the first one we can confirm. So Griezmann is off, and Yannick Carrasco replaces him. Just waiting to see who the other players are to go off. Was that Koke going off to be replaced by De Paul?
It was.
So Rodrigo De Paul on to replace Koke. And wait to see who the third and final change will be. I say third and final, they will be allowed to make another change. It's just who they're making here, and it's going to be Correa coming on for Lodi. So that's a very attacking change, as we can see that there's less than 21 minutes to go now, so Simeone's side need to go for it.
You do, don't they? It's an interesting change, that, because it will certainly be a tactical change. It's an interesting change, but they weren't in any rush to make it. They all seem to be ambling on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just seems to be a little bit laid back. But Walker, well, I don't want to say too soon. He's still trying to walk off that injury. and he is hobbling back on the field now as well. As I say, 69 minutes gone, independent off-tube studio commentary. It's still goalless here between Atletico and City. City lead 1-0 on aggregate, but here come Atletico now with a ball at the edge of there. A strike comes in, it's just wide. What a substitution that would have been. Rodrigo de Paul with his first touch, hitting it just wide of the top corner after Llorente had fed the ball to him.
I think he's got to score there, Paul. At least hit the target. It was great play by Felix, lovely interplay. Correa, Llorente back to De Paul. Is it half a yard behind him, so he's stretching back. He's almost playing it from behind him. You see what he's trying to curl it into that near post.
He gets that same pass 2 or 3 yards further into the field. It hits exactly the same shot. I think it's in because he seemed to be at the right height. It was just a little bit wide. Just not enough curl to get it into that top corner. But a long clearance now from Edison from the goal kick, way over the halfway line, but straight onto the head of Felipe, up towards the left-hand side for João Felix. Header though from Kyle Walker, and it's out now for a throw to Atletico down the left-hand side. Reinildo going back towards Felipe. City not sending too many players forward to press it. It's a long ball now over towards the right-hand side. João Cancelo just jumps behind Marcos Llorente, and it goes out for a throw as Guardiola almost walks onto the pitch there trying to get an instruction out. I think it was to Phil Foden. As he can now, so Guardiola can sense that his side are just starting to lose a little bit of that initiative they had in the first half. They haven't got as much possession. Atletico have made all these attacking changes, and City now potentially under pressure, but they won't be under pressure with balls like that. Rodrigo de Paul tries an early ball from the right-hand side. His teammates are still in that encouraging phase where they're all clapping him, but it was a very poor ball.
You can see what he's trying to do there. He just opens his body up with his right foot, trying to whip it in and give Felix something to work with, but there's hands on hips, and the camera's focusing on Ake, Zinchenko and Diaz. I do think there is a bit of a concern over Kyle Walker because he's not moving well at all, and the game is in such a balance. Do you make a change to set the flow of the game, or do you risk it and keep him on? I don't know.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I suppose if you take him off and start messing with the defence, then there'll be a question mark. I mean, but there, Walker wasn't really running, wasn't really sprinting after that ball. He does get there first, and he finds Riyad Mahrez, who's we've hardly seen in the second half, and Mahrez just vaults over Reinildo, but in doing so, he had to put the ball into some space, and in the end, he just runs out of space on that right-hand side, and the ball's out for a goal kick.
Yeah, he's clearly not walking too well. There's the Walker. And Pep Guardiola's ushering a teammate back, and Walker's done the right thing here.
Yeah, Walker's done in this game. He sat down, and the Atletico players are just angry now that he's wasting more time. But this is the end of Walker's game. He knows that he's injured and he's not going to be able to carry on. And now we're just going to have to make this substitution. As very sporting there from Lemar to help Kyle Walker on. Don't think you'll thank the referee that he's going to have to walk around the entire stadium now to get back to the dugout, because the referee's ushering him off on the near side, which is the opposite side to where the benches are. I think it's the way he falls onto that right foot, or is it the left foot as he strikes?
As he strikes the ball, it's almost like a golf divot comes up behind his left foot. He stood twisting the ground, and Nathan Ake has come on, so the way he's not gone very far on, so I imagine he's gone left back, Cancelo right back, and for me that's the best call of them all, really. It gives the back four a better balance than it would if they had Stones at right back.
Yeah, I think there's the problem for Zinchenko is that he's almost a little bit like from years ago at City, Kolarov, who's a winger who's been converted into a defender. I think that in a situation like this, he probably wants to have Nathan Ake. He won't be as good as at getting forward, but it means they'll be tighter defensively. Just as I say that, there is an attack here for Atletico. There's a ball played in, and there's an appeal for handball as that ball was played in there by Reinildo, who's got forward this time. Ball still kept alive here now by Kondogbia. Plays it short to Carrasco. Back to Kondogbia. Left-footed ball into the box. Good strong header away. That's the first touch of the ball for Nathan Ake up towards Sterling, but he's robbed of it almost straight away by Felipe. And it's a long ball by Lemar this time over towards the right-hand edge of the field, headed away by Ake. Throw to Atletico, taken quickly by Marcos Llorente. 74 minutes gone now. We are going to get a little bit of injury time at the end of this game. I can tell you there's a fifth goal at Anfield, and it's Yaremchuk that's got a goal for Benfica. Just for pride there, really. Can't see Benfica mounting a comeback, but sounds like a very excited two-legged affair there between Liverpool and Benfica.
Absolutely, and I think this game is just exciting the way it's so nicely balanced up, because Atletico get a goal. It's tough to see City getting one because the way they play in the second half, they've had no real foothold in the game.
They haven't, and Fernandinho, the man who surprised Guardiola this week by attending the Champions League press conference, is saying that he's decided with his family that he's leaving at the end of this season, and Guardiola said afterwards he knew nothing about that.
Yeah, I was surprised about that. You thought they would have had one conversation, but it was pretty honest, wasn't he? He said, I need to play, I want to play. He's not getting any younger, is he? He says he's going to go back to Brazil, and I can't imagine he'll be playing Sunday League football. He'll be playing a good level.
Absolutely,
and he will be playing every week.
36-year-old, but I think that there probably would be a queue of clubs that would take Fernandinho with all of his experience, and the fact that he still wants to play when he goes back to Brazil as well. That will certainly be an incentive for those sides, but he's still got some work to do here for his current club, and we're going to see him on the field any moment now. But for the time being, it's City trying to get on the attack. Long ball down the left-hand side, headed away by Marcus Llorente before it reached Phil Foden, and then it's Savic who plays it forward now towards Correa. There's a bit of a tangle there with Rodrigo, and Sterling tries to put a challenge in, misses completely, and now Correa spots a lot of space down the left-hand side here for Yannick Carrasco. Carrasco getting towards the edge of the area, skips away from Mahrez like he wasn't there, has to dance away as well from Bernardo Silva. It still keeps possession here for Atletico. Now it's Renildo with a cross, easily headed though from Laporte. It drops to Sterling, who's robbed of it. Kondogbia thought about shooting from all of 40 yards, changed his mind and just played it square to Yannick Carrasco. And then Carrasco out towards Lodi. His cross in is quickly swept away. A chance here now for City. But Lamar wins it straight back. And there's a quick 1-2 there. Attempt to get the ball to João Felix. And Correa comes away with it. He can't get a shot away. He goes down inside the penalty area. Referee not interested. It's still in play here as Atletico try and get this ball into the penalty area. Carrasco just holds it up and then goes back to Lodi. Lodi's cross towards the edge of the area. It's Rodrigo de Paul on the volley. Almost from an identical position where he had that effort just before, as that ball eventually goes out for a goal kick. The Atletico players are insisting the referee doesn't restart play until this penalty shout is checked. Ooh, I tell you what, there's a bit of a trailing leg there from Cancelo, but the question is, how much contact does he actually make, and has Correa pretty much lost the ball there already?
Correa's on the way down, I think, and the referee seemed pretty emphatic. He made an arm gesture as if Correa had died, but initially it was really good play by Correa, switching it and opening the play up. He's a really good player, the Argentine. He always picks the right pass.
He really does, but City now picking a couple of good passes at the edge of the area. Sterling and Bernardo trying to play a quick 1-2. Sterling waiting for that ball back. It won't reach him though, and it is Atletico now breaking out down the left-hand side. It's with Lamar. Leaves it now for Carrasco. He goes back to Renan Lodi. And now it's with Felipe, square to Stefan Savic, closed down by Foden. Ball played up towards the halfway line, and there is João Felix, spots Marcos Llorente. Ball played into Correa, who's, even with the idea that you wait for VAR, I think a professional linesman would be insulted to wait for VAR to tell him that's offside. He could clearly see that one.
Yeah, forget the praise I was giving him. That was really poor, wasn't it, by Correa?
He was never onside.
He was never onside. Llorente shouldn't give him the ball there. I think he should have the game smarts, I suppose, to see what's going to happen. It was almost like the City offside trap was almost bored the way they all stopped to put their hands up, because everyone knew it was going to happen. As Fernandinho prepares to come on to the game, Bernardo, the man taking
it. So this is a central midfielder who's got more of an attack mind, being replaced by a central midfielder who's got more of a defensive mind here, as Fernandinho now comes on for Bernardo Silva. In fairness, Bernardo played most of this game as a forward, as a winger on that left-hand side. Asked to switch back into midfield after De Bruyne had to go off. But Fernandinho straight into the action. He's got to try and close down Correa here, who's getting away from him. Fernandinho slides in, doesn't win the initial ball because Rodrigo still has a chance. De Paul then leaves it for Correa, who hits the deck, and then the ball is out of play for a goal kick. I think he was after a free kick. Daniel Siebert is saying that if there was a free kick, he played the advantage.
Yes, it's pretty wild, isn't it, by Fernandinho, and then Correa plays it off the shins of De Paul, and well, here he comes. Luis Suarez is ready to go.
Luis Suarez, absolutely. If this was Manchester United now, I'd say there's a lot of previous between these two. Not so much with City, but having said that, Suarez, of course, was one of those villain players that when he's not playing for your team, you absolutely hate him, don't you? And I think that certainly any chance that he has to try and upset the English clubs that used to have such a big rivalry with him, I'm sure he'd love to do that. Has been been in and out of the team this season, really, hasn't he?
He has been in and out of the team. He was brilliant I think because he had such a point to prove to Barcelona last season. They went to led them to the Liga title, but he's not had as much exposure this time around because he's I think he's just lost a half a yard of pace, and well, that's obvious because he is now 35, isn't he? But yellow card there for Llorente, who put his hand up straight away.
Well, no, what made me laugh with Llorente there is that he was hobbling after the collision with Fernandinho. As soon as he saw the referee was booking him, he stopped hobbling because he realised he didn't need to pretend that he was injured anymore. Clearly goes in there on Fernandinho and trips him there, and it was an easy decision, I think, for the referee.
That's what exactly Fernandinho can bring to the game now for City, isn't it? Someone who's going to manage. He knew what was going to happen. We'd seen it 1,000 times. And drew the yellow card. Llorente will miss the semi-final first leg if Atletico go through.
Yeah, so the Atletico player is frustrated now that it's taken this long to take the free kick. Mahrez, Gundogan and Fernandinho standing over it.
I always think it's a funny situation, that, because if they actually got back into their defensive formation, the game
would be
have
quicker. Yeah, well, I mean, I say at the risk of repeating myself, if anyone's heard me say this on commentary before, I apologise, but I would love to see, just as a little experiment, a couple of league games, a couple of cup games, even a couple of friendlies played with a stop clock. Just to see what would do.
We'd still be here.
Well, but this is the thing. Footballers would stop wasting time because they would realise that none of the time that they're wasting is going to be taken off the game anyway, and it would stop. I'd love to see it. TV companies will never allow it because it would mean that the games could finish 15, 20 minutes apart, which would mess up scheduling. But it'd be fascinating to see just how the players would respond then. But in the meantime, City have this free kick. Mahrez whips it in from the left-hand side, headed away by Felipe. Touched back then towards Marcos Llorente. He finds Lemar, who then fires the ball down the left-hand side. Atletico are making a double change, as well as Luis Suarez. Looks like Mateus Cunha is getting ready to come on as well, the Brazilian. And in fact, it's going to be Suarez coming on for Lemar. So Thomas Lemar is off, and Luis Suarez is on. Just see who Cunha is going to be coming on for as well. Simeone has played all of his cards now. That's his fifth and final change. It's João Felix who's going off, so he's pretty much had a complete change of his strike force now.
Yeah, I think I would have kept Lemar on just for his delivery if he gets a set piece chance.
Just that something out of nothing. You'll get that one good whip ball in. Yeah, absolutely, I agree, and I think that that might be something that Simeone might have. I would say he rushed in, so I'm sure he's thought it through. But it's one of those where he wants to get a couple of fresh players on the field. Now Marcos Llorente is unhappy with Ake for going down after Llorente crashed into him. We'll just see. I mean, Llorente, the whole time that ball is going through, he's only got eyes on Ake.
That's the second yellow card, that, isn't it? It's a clear foul. He puts his arm up. It's silly play really by Llorente, and totally needless as well. Going back to things you'd like to see, I'd quite like to see the referee, if VAR decision, the screen on the side of the pitch, if he pulled a foul there and showed Llorente why it was a foul. Can you explain to these 60,000 people that you weren't looking at the back of him there?
Absolutely. No, I should say, we could go on. I mean, I'd like to see referees check the monitor straight away rather than telling players for 5 minutes, we are going to check it. Just check it yourself straight away. You don't need 3 people at Stockley Park to give you a radio commentary of it. But in the meantime, Atletico are looking to break out of it, and they're just stopped on the halfway line now, and it's with Mahrez, who finds Sterling at the edge of the area. Sterling then holds it up and leaves it now for Ilkay Gundogan. Over now to Nathan Ake on the left-hand side. Back to Foden, who really has had a quiet second half. He was a lot more involved in the first, but then City had more attacking possession in the first half as well, in fairness, and that's a strong challenge from Rodri. He's going to get a booking, but in the meantime, Atletico are playing on, and there's a counter-attack here. Ball gets to the edge of the area. It's just overplayed, and that allows Ake to get the clearance in. Ball's now bouncing in midfield as Fernandinho, with a cool head, just rolls the ball. I tell you what, it's getting exciting in Anfield. Nunes has just made it 3-3 in the game between Liverpool and Benfica. So, of course, Liverpool still have a 2-goal lead from last week. But Benfica fighting until the last. And City now with a chance just to try and keep a bit of possession in the Atletico half. Yeah,
it was a poor challenge, wasn't it, by Rodri, but it was an even worse ball by Fernandinho. And he got away with one there, I think, City.
Here comes Mahrez, though, jinking little run, gets to the edge of the area again. He's got to play that ball into Gundogan. He takes too many shots on Mahrez when he could lay the ball off. It's now back with Sterling. Back towards Rodrigo. And Rodrigo now back to Sterling down the right-hand side. He skips away from Lodi, but then holds on to the ball for too long. And then Sterling does the what happens there is that Sterling feels that he was fouled. He lands on the ball and then gives the free kick away for the handball. I mean, I'm not sure there is a foul there on Sterling. What amused me there was the referee, as he was trying to wave down the Atletico players, he actually caught Kondogbia in the face as well, as had to apologise to him.
Yeah, has Rodri been booked after all of that for earlier?
He should have been, as I say. There's been a couple. Yeah, he has been. It just took a little while for that to be confirmed. But Rodrigo is on a yellow card now. And one of the two players threatened with suspension for the semi-final for City, De Bruyne, is now off the field. But João Cancelo still has to watch himself in these last, what is now 5 minutes plus injury time. We had 3 minutes in the first half. Maybe we'll have 3, maybe 4 actually, because we did lose a little bit of time with that Kyle Walker injury. Had a number of substitutions as well. But here come Atletico now. Long ball played to Suarez. He touches it back to Correa. Correa looking to try and get that ball into Carrasco. But that's a great challenge from João Cancelo.
Very good challenge. And you mentioned that yellow card situation is on as well. I don't think he had it in the back of his mind, but that's what I was thinking. He timed it to perfection.
Very good, very well there did the Portuguese international. As Kondogbia now over towards the left-hand side for Lodi, back into Felipe. Time is ticking down here for Atletico. Savic inside now towards Kondogbia, pressing here from Ilkay Gundogan. As Savic steps forward, just a risk of doing a little bit too much, and then plays a very quick ball out towards the left, just about kept in play there by Lodi. Inside now to Carrasco, but this is all around about the half line, and Carrasco plays the ball over the top to Correa. Correa touches it back, the strike comes in. Is there an offside? I don't think there is. The ball deflects away in the end, and it's out for a corner kick.
Kuna deflected effort there, and that was lucky really for Manchester City.
Offside.
Yeah, John Stones playing everyone on side. Nice play by Correa. Then Stones, to be fair, makes amends for a really good block.
It's going to be whipped in now, right-footed from the left-hand side. There's a lot of whip on it as well, as Edison comes out, doesn't get a touch on it, and it's just wide. That's a let-off for City. The goalkeeper comes out. He was bouncing inside, just sort of spinning away from the goal line inside the 6-yard box, and Savic couldn't get it on target.
He was nowhere there, was he? Edison Ake actually wins the ball ahead of Suarez, and Savic is there. If he's a left-footed player, he probably scores. He has to go with his weaker right foot and can't get the contact he needs.
As you can see, that's great play. That ball chested back there by Correa. And a good challenge in the end there from Stones. But 3 minutes to go until we see the fourth officials board here at the Estadio Wanda Metropolitano. It is still goalless between Atletico de Madrid and Manchester City on the night. So Man City still lead 1-0 on aggregate, as Guardiola now trying to get a couple of instructions out to his players. Frustrations now for Simeone, that it's taking too long for a throw-on to be taken. And as I say, I'm not quite sure where that anger was directed there from Simeone, but he wasn't happy about something, as Ake's throw towards Sterling is headed towards Gundogan. Gundogan then flicks it off the Atletico Madrid man, Marcos Llorente, out for a throw, as Pep Guardiola telling something to Phil Foden there. As indeed is Daniel Siebert telling Ake just to hurry up with this throw. He throws it in to Sterling. It was clearly shoved in the back, but the referee seems to have just taken the attitude that basically he's going to allow a lot of physical contact in this game, and the goal kick's been taken quickly, and time really running out now for Atletico.
It is. Kondogbia has it, goes forward. It's a good ball towards Correa. Ake just about does enough.
He does, yeah. He didn't trust himself there, Ake, to head it back towards his own keeper, but in the end, the header he put forward would have easily got back to Edison if he'd have sent it that way, as Mahrez caught in possession, and there's an early ball into the penalty area. Carrasco has 2 men to try and pick out. He's missed both of them, and it's now just on the penalty spot, and eventually it finds Mahrez, who keeps his head and just rolls it to Phil Foden. And now it's Foden and Sterling against the 5 Atletico players. Foden just running towards the corner. It's a great run from Foden as well. Strong challenge there from Felipe, who then kicks out at Phil Foden. That should be a second yellow for Felipe, really. And interesting to see whether or not the referee has spotted this.
Yeah, I think he has here, because Felipe makes the challenge and then he swings round. He knows exactly what he's doing there, as Felipe. And it's
this is now the Atletico. This is now the Atletico way. Stefan Savic is basically trying to channel all the anger at the fact that Foden has dared to stay on the deck after Felipe swiped 2 feet at him and kicked him. And Stefan Savic, I think, is just trying to almost take one for the team here as Atletico just lose their heads here towards the end of the game.
Yeah, well, a card's going to come out for someone, isn't it? Referee Siebert is just probably doing the right thing, letting everyone calm down. Stones and Savic having a chat. Grealish is in there. He's just had a bit of a pull at Grealish's hair as Savic, and then there's a bit of pushing and shoving. I think he will get a yellow card. Gundogan's there as well.
The man that needs to get booked first of all is Felipe. He needs to get a second yellow for the fact that he kicked out at Foden, and that's what should be happening first, and then the referee can try and get the situation in order in terms of the melee that happened after.
Yeah, it's just unnecessary from Felipe. This is Atletico's time. Llorente tried to foul Foden kept going, and Felipe won a good challenge. He came across, swept it really well, then swung through and caught him. I just don't understand the mentality of Atletico.
No, it's very strange, this, and as I say, if this was in the 5th minute of injury time and Atletico were 2-0 down, then I could see it's just a sort of, dare I say, almost a typical Simeone sort of bad loser response, but this is at a time when they've now sort of got themselves carried away. Savic has to get booked here. There's no way that he can get away with the way that he reacted. Savic was unhappy that Foden rolled back on the pitch, but Felipe should get a second yellow, and I'm quite surprised that the referee hasn't even bothered with that yet, it seems.
Well, is that an instant? I don't know the rules of VAR probably, but is that an instant where the referee or the VAR can't say something like, you might want to
well, if they decide that it's not a straight red,
yes,
then I suppose they can't really tell the referee that there could be a second yellow here. The only thing they can do is to mention the fact that there's been a clear and obvious error. Nathan Ake picks up a yellow card. How Ake has picked up a yellow card for being involved in the scuffle afterwards, but still no booking for Felipe. And he's got a nerve here grabbing the referee.
Grabbed the referee. That's a yellow card.
That's a yellow card. He should have 3 yellow cards in this game now.
I don't necessarily think it should be a yellow card, but I think he is going to be. Is he going to be sent off here?
I think so. I think the linesman has been saying something to the referee. We're going to get a heap of injury time at the end of this game now. It's all getting a little bit heated, and the Atletico players are almost like children here around the referee, saying, "Please, sir, please don't do this." But it looks like it is going to be a second yellow for Felipe. Although,
to be fair, Jan Ogblack's the coolest man in the stadium at the moment.
He is. Well, the referee's got a red card out of his pocket, but he's put it back away now. So we'll wait and see as Felipe really gets in the face of the referee. He should be sent off here. Why hasn't he been sent off? I think he has been sent off, and he's just refusing to leave the field now. That's the problem that Felipe has. He's absolutely lost his head here, and frankly, I don't feel sorry for him at all. He's been trying to get sent off since the first half.
Yeah, well, it's not a nice challenge on Phil Foden earlier on, and that's totally of his own making. He wins a good challenge, and he spins round and catches Foden totally on purpose. We're seeing it again. There's no need for it. He wins it, and then spins round and kicks him. Catches him with his right foot on his right ankle, then kicks out with his left foot. It's a totally unnatural movement. He's got no excuse. That's a perfect example. If the referees were allowed to show players the VAR, I mean, there's no debate, is there?
There isn't, but I suppose then that would create 10 minutes of debate with Felipe trying to point out something else in that particular replay. But we've had 3 minutes of injury time in the game. We still haven't had the board because the fourth official was too busy down the corner of the pitch trying to calm everybody down. But as I say, I think this challenge came in with about 30 seconds maybe of regulation play to go, maybe a little bit more than that even. But we're finally going to get this board up. It is a throw to Manchester City. Phil Foden takes it to Mahrez. Back to Foden, who's challenged immediately by Rodrigo de Paul. 9 minutes of injury time have been added to this game. That's a really strong challenge as well. And this game is a risk of really boiling over now.
But again, how can Kuna argue about that? Fernandinho gets in front of him and he kicks the back of his leg. It's going to be a free kick all day. Atletico need to calm. I know it's not necessarily in their DNA to say, but they just need to calm themselves down. They have time to get a goal here, but they're wasting their own seconds.
They are. It's crazy.
Kuna's not giving the ball back. He's going to pick himself a yellow card. That's 30 seconds gone.
I know. It's madness, this, and it's hard to understand really what the mentality. I mean, the Atletico bench are all going to be furious here with the referee. But as I say, the way in which the Atletico players there, we could see Jimenez there chewing on a plastic spoon, I think, to try and take some of that strain away. But in the meantime, a free kick here to Manchester City on the left-hand side. Riyad Mahrez waiting to take it. Mahrez is going to get a booking here. That's a stadium call. I don't think that Mahrez was wasting that much time, but I think it's the fact that the Atletico players, in fairness, there were about 3 Atletico players within 5 yards of the ball, so nobody had got back 10 anyway. But booking now for Mahrez for wasting time. So Gundogan now clips a free kick in towards Sterling. That's quickly played away by Rodrigo de Paul. Now it's Mahrez at the edge of the area. Challenges are flying in here. I wouldn't bet against Savic getting a second yellow before the end of this match, but in the meantime, Ake having to clear the ball as 2 Atletico players were closing down. Look at this. There's a whole team of people trying to get another ball out onto the field here so that Atletico can restart play as quickly as possible.
It's another awful foul.
Yeah, it's another terrible throw from Marcus
Llorente.
He did, yeah. But I tell you what, if this game does finish after 9 minutes with City going through, then I'm going to be keeping my eye on how these 2 sets of players leave the field, because there's going to be afters here. I'm pretty sure the benches might end up having a bit of a scuffle as well. But for the time being, City are doing what they can to press as high up the field. Atletico in possession, but deep in their own half. Rodrigo de Paul tries a ball to the halfway line, which is completely seen off by Fernandinho. He plays it too quickly to Sterling, though. That's a giveaway of possession, really. And then Reinildo exchanging passes with Rodrigo de Paul, and Reinildo is off now down the left-hand side. Nobody's stopping him. He gets all the way to the edge of the area. He tries a cross in, looking for Correa. It's Laporte who touches it away with his knee, and then Foden gets on the second ball. He gets away from Marcus Llorente, plays it square now to Rodrigo, and then Sterling with a bit of space. This would really put the cat amongst the pigeons if City could score here now, as Sterling threads the ball through towards Gundogan. It goes through the heads of Oblak, but as Oblak was being nutmegged, he sort of landed on the ball. It killed the pace of the ball. Stops inside the 6-yard box. It's cleared away, and we still got around 3 minutes to play.
He just did about enough there, didn't he, Oblak? A lovely ball through by Sterling, and then Phil Foden's got a yellow card for kicking the ball away, but good save by Oblak. He made himself big, and it was not a bad finish by Gundogan, but good save by the goalkeeper.
Good save by the goalkeeper indeed. Yes, I think it's all over at Anfield. Liverpool have drawn 3-3 with Benfica on the night, but they go through 6-4 on aggregate. A great 2-legged affair there with plenty of goals. This has been a fascinating 2-legged affair as well, though we've only had 1 goal in the 2 games so far. But certainly you can't take your eyes off it, as we've still got around 3 minutes, just under 3 minutes now of injury time to play. A good clearance there from Ake down the left-hand side, finds Foden, who's just a little bit tired now. He couldn't quite get away from Marcus Llorente there. Ball played back towards Oblak, who picks out Rodrigo de Paul. Llorente's actually sort of stopped there on that right hand, so it looks like he's flagging a bit, but that's a great ball from de Paul to find Carrasco breaking into the box. That's a strong challenge there from João Cancelo. And the only hope that Cancelo had there was that it wasn't going to be a penalty. Cancelo has also got booked, so he will miss the first semi-final should City get through.
Yeah, with Kyle Walker injured out as well. It's a real worry, isn't it, for City? He had no choice there. Really good play by Carrasco. He just moves the ball so well from right to left, doesn't he? Gets inside his man, and Cancelo just has to bring him down.
He does. Hasn't really got a choice here, as Felipe... he's not really sticking to the rules as such. He's still in the tunnel. He should really be in the dressing room once you've been sent off. But I would expect if this game doesn't go the way of Atletico, I think Felipe will be back on the field at full time. But this is a great chance for the home side now. The ball's less than a yard away from the left-hand edge of the penalty area. It's about 14, 15 yards out. Looks like Carrasco's going to try and go for goal. There's a whole line of players that he can try and aim for as well. Does go for goal, and it's a good save by Ederson, who I think was kicked in the hands as he made that save.
Yes, it was brave goalkeeping by Ederson. It was his shoulder. He just about did enough. We're going to see it again. It's whipped in by Carrasco. Who's it's what you'd call a football incident, I suppose, wouldn't it? It's the man comes in. Kuna can't really get out the way, and Ederson gets a sore shoulder for his troubles.
He does, yeah. One Brazilian bumping into another there. As I say, there's a little bit of a knee up there from Kuna. If I was going to be a prosecution's lawyer about this, I would say there was probably a little bit of intent there. But now we can see as Simeone just turns to try and get one final last push from the crowd here with a minute of injury time to play. We're probably going to have a little bit more than that now.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? Because there's been so many stoppages. Oh, the Metropolitano on their feet. They obviously feel this is the one, as Llorente winds up for a long throw.
He does. Launches that one towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Is headed away and back into midfield now. And played all the way back by Carrasco towards Jan Oblak, who's pretty much just by the centre circle now, playing as high up the field as he can. We've had the full 9 minutes of injury time now. I'd expect there's going to probably be a little bit more. But this ball goes out of play. There's a City player down now, as we can see here. Simeone now with a slightly sarcastic applause here that City are wasting more time.
Yeah, they are. That's just... It's the game, isn't it?
It is, but this is why my point about the stop clock would actually make sense, because all of this would stop. All of this would stop. Players would not waste any time if they knew that all this rolling around, or the pushing and shoving, the arguing, everything else. We can see now Diego Simeone has lost his head. He's run onto the field. This is getting embarrassing now. Phil Foden with a bit of a smile on his face as Simeone has gone into almost full meltdown here.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? He's, unfortunately, his team are following. Yeah, you'd think he'd be setting an example. He's going to get booked.
He's going to get at least a booking here, is the Atletico manager. And that's just going to... Simeone's just trying to say that he's going to be calm now, but... so I'm not even sure how much time we've got left now. We've had the full 9 minutes, but we had a bit of a stoppage at the start of injury time. We've had another stoppage now, as Fernandinho was being checked over. Pep Guardiola is now having a bit of a to-do with Rodrigo de Paul. And Guardiola, of course, and De Paul can certainly converse there in Spanish about what they disagree with. But I have to say that the referee, I think, has contributed to this by not being strong enough in the first half. And he's possibly, although it was always going to go into meltdown in the second half anyway, but if maybe a couple of extra yellow cards, it might have just tempered things a little bit.
Possibly, but this happens every year with Atletico. As soon as things don't go the way, it just...
Yeah, I mean, they really are. They really are. I mean, as I say, Simeone, right. I certainly remember him as a player. He was a very bad loser as a player, and his teams are bad losers when he's a manager.
Obviously, I suppose it's kind of like the mentality they have and all those kind of things, but I've seen players who are totally different to what they were before.
Absolutely.
Like the mindset seems to have changed.
Absolutely, yes. The City win themselves a throw on close to the Atletico penalty area. We've had over 2 minutes past the allotted 9 that we were supposed to have. So again, it's hard to know exactly how much more time Mr. Siebert wants to add on, but it can't be long now, as Ake stands with the ball. City have got 4 players in and around the edge of the penalty area. The ball goes through to Sterling, who's surrounded by Atletico players, and then it's with Kondogbia, who now plays it square towards Rinaldi. Rinaldi out away down the left-hand side. He plays a long ball which is headed on by Fernandinho, and that drops into Correa. Great play there from Ake. It drops then to Marcos Llorente. Then there's a shove at the edge of the area. There's a bit of a chance now here for Correa. Correa with the strike, saved there by Edison, and the ball cleared into midfield. The referee looks at his watch. How much more time is Daniel Siebert going to add on? Maybe he's waiting until we tick over the 12-minute mark here in injury time. In fact, has he blown? No, he hasn't. For the time being, it's a throw to Atletico, but City hanging on now, Jack.
Absolutely hanging on. It's Fernandinho, Porta. Ake's done really well since coming on. There's a couple of really good interceptions, and
it is all over though. The referee in the meantime, Atletico taking too long to take the throw on, and Manchester City are through after a very bad tempered second half. City through 1-0 on aggregate. Thank you very much for joining us. From myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz, and Jack Ogalbe. Join us again soon.